have to go back to, did we look at what the staff's ability will be to handle all these multitudes of phones?
Yeah.
And if we go around this table, there's probably 6 different types of phones.
Right, but the thing
Probably
is,
3.
it doesn't mean that every teacher, every class
Has to use
is
it.
going to have a lesson that's gonna use a cell phone. And there's
I
also,
understand that.
they're also gonna be able to have the Chromebooks or whatever's out there available to use. And in the meantime, any professional development that needs to happen will happen. And I think it's happening now in the colleges of the future teachers coming out are getting that knowledge. That's my understanding.
And they're all working with Windows-based systems now.
Right.
I mean, I think by doing this, you're greatly limiting what students have and the more devices that the board is going to have to produce. And to be honest, I mean, we're not in the Pentagon. It's, I mean, I don't think you can go overboard with this. I think any kid that's smart enough to break these systems can likely do it sitting right in the library. So you're either in support of having the kids have their own devices or you're not. I think you can get mixed up for another 4 years in the complexities of it. But it's up to the adults, the administrators in this building, and the IT staff that we pay to implement this and provide the board with updates on how it's going.
Jeremy had a
Yeah, Fiona started going down this road. I want to bring this down to earth a little bit. I work at a defense contractor. I got to be honest, and no offense, the security measures that you're putting forth, with the exception of the area that we work on, the president's helicopter, that stuff just doesn't exist. So I'm concerned that what we're doing is we're taking this 1% that we may sort of be worried about and making a policy to govern the other 99%. I think we got to be careful about that. I know the students brought forth some good information about what some of the other schools are doing, and I'd like to use this as another opportunity to show where we should not be doing just enough to be even with some of these other schools that you're talking about. We need to be a leader. We've talked to these other schools as if they are a benchmark to reach, and it doesn't sound to me like they are. They just happen to be better than us currently in this policy. I gotta be honest, I don't see any reason right now from a security standpoint. I mean, what are we protecting here exactly? I mean, we've got information for the students, and I get that, and I understand that there's some information to be protected, but the level of security that you're talking about, I don't have to worry about at Sikorsky. And I have tons of way more top secret information than you're gonna find in a school system. In fairness.
I believe you're, if I'm correct, we're talking about having 2 separate networks.
Yes.
There will be, they won't be on our network, they're gonna be on.
But even if you know, Crazy Computer Kid can make the leap, like, I don't know, right? Because I know how helicopters work. The computer stuff, I turn it on and I do my work. So from that standpoint, I can literally take any device that I own, whether it be a Windows base or iOS or anything, I can plug it right into my computer at work. But I can't pull anything out of it, because it's set up in that manner. So if I want to plug my phone into my computer as opposed to a wall to keep it charged during the day while I'm listening to music or whatever, no problem. I think because I'm a security guy, I get it. I like where your head's at on it. I just think we're way out over our skis on it from a security standpoint, because I don't know that we have that much to protect necessarily. But that's just my opinion.
I think you have to go to what, I've even lost my agenda. There it is. 4 items down. I think Tyler brought up a very good point, that we're fighting every year here to be, because it's a school of choice. Our enrollment is decreasing. We're trying to find a way to market Torrington to the students we have. And if we're gonna be technologically behind everybody that's an option for those kids to go to, I think we have to address that.
And I think Tyler made a good point. We're just catching up to these other schools, that's it. Which I think is ludicrous, but.
I'm sorry, Dan has.
That's all right. Just for clarification's sake, Mr. Lemoyne may disagree with me, or he may agree with me. I don't know at this point. The way the system is set up, you have a wireless access point in every facility. Those are controllers. They control what are called access points. They sit in every classroom, sometimes in hallways, most of the time they sit in areas like this, usually 1 or 2 or 3, particularly in gymnasiums. They have a certain number of devices they allow. Now, you keep referring to it as a separate network. It is separate in the fact that it is a virtual network. You connect and you're supposed to have a separate IP address set up, so that way there you should not be able to intercommunicate between the different networks. However, it is the same access point that provides all the different networks across the school, and they are all tied back together, including our financial network, which is tied into Midgeon Avenue, which goes to New World. The way they got into the system at Target, through the HVAC system, was somebody brought in a cell phone that was infected with malware. From there, it was simply a matter of time. Now, no offense, but you have over 1,000 employees' financial records. Now, is it likely that a student is going to do that? No, it is not likely that a student is going to do that. However, if you get somebody who's having a really bad year and they're a total loner, because everybody's known somebody throughout the course of their school life who's been like that. True. And they go through, you don't know what's going to occur.
Can I just say one quick thing? Just remember that we're talking about high school students. High school students.
My electronics teacher server and crashed it. I was the student who hacked into my electronics teacher, who was the school's network. No, but the difference is, I was that individual, so I know what is out there.
But when you were in school, our infrastructure wasn't anywhere where it is now. So it probably was really easy. I could have done it when you were in school. Technology has changed. Technology has changed.
Okay, I didn't like overhead delivering messages.
I didn't mean that. I did not mean that you're old, but technology.
I just feel uncomfortable legislating against the 1% maybe. That's all.
Oh,
Well, we always legislate against the 1% maybe. We make people turn in their driver's license to get into this building and walk around it. We have what, and I hate the phrase, an abundance of caution. We always exercise that. I don't know why we can't sit on this for another month, why you can't sit on this for another month, and until, who knows? I don't know what Dan is saying for sure. I think I know.
right.
I don't know what Jim is saying. I think I know. Between the two, I'll stay with Dan, because it is, quote, the abundance of caution. So am I.
John, this may help you. Ms. Ryman reminded me, she had gotten some information from Protected Harbor. Protected Harbor already went out to Carousel, which is the vendor that manages our Wi-Fi infrastructure. They gave us the cost to build the secondary, or actually be the third, fourth network for the students, which was like $3,900. There's no additional cost from Protected Harbor to manage that and to maintain that and put all the security that we already have on our main infrastructure over onto that as well. So from that side, we've already taken care of that, or actually Protected Harbor's taking care of that for us in terms of making sure that that part is secured.
Well, Protected Harbor has taken care of a lot for us. It hasn't always worked.
At one point, we have to trust what we have in our vendor. I mean, that's another topic. If we don't trust the vendor, then we can switch vendors, right? At this point.
Can I ask a question? We know that 98% of the kids have their phones in school every day this year. Maybe they're not pulling them out in the classroom, but they're in the bathroom, texting their mother or whatever they do. What is different about the kid in the bathroom who's going to crash our system and the kid sitting in the classroom with a phone? I'm not getting why this policy changes our exposure at all.
The chances of a student in the bathroom with a tablet like Jim are minimal. You're not going to walk into the bathroom with that type of a tablet without being noticed.
I'm sure you are.
It's
I mean, I heard exposure.
Yes, but when you go to log into the network, it's gonna say, okay, this is a Windows-based device, here's your user ID, here's the ID you scan from the teacher. It doesn't matter, it's gonna say the MAC address doesn't match up, it's not a TPS product. And the network that Jim's referring to from Carousel, which is Aruba-based wireless systems, is gonna sit there and shut it down. It's not gonna let it on the
But I'm
network.
not buying that for that same kid you're talking about that can break any system. I'm not buying it. I think he's gonna break it whether he's in the bathroom, he's gonna break it whether he's out here.
And honestly, right now, I can't connect to the Torrington Wi-Fi. I'm connected to TPS Media because Protected Harbor can't figure out why I can't connect on this one. I can connect on this one. So, and that's both down the Board of Ed and here. So, you're gonna have problems. And is a student gonna be rogue? Question, do you speed on the highway?
No, actually, I go slower.
I do. You do?
Yeah, I drive fast. Ask
So, there's gonna be an outlier on everything. It's just a matter of, are we gonna try to, build a system for that, I forgot who said that, 1%, or are we gonna build it for the 99% that are actually gonna use it?
All right, question on the policy.
Yes.
I hate to shift gears. What is the implementation time of this policy?
We
What is the
discussed that, and through speaking with the superintendent, we feel that starting the third marking period, which would be the end of January, roll it out then.
Is that subject to anyone's understanding that it's ready? I mean, that the teachers are prepared, and who has the ultimate say of when that's gonna roll out? So this,
Superintendent,
we're shooting for the end of for the beginning of the third marking period.
yes, beginning of the third half, right?
We'll
That
have-
would be January, yes.
All right, and if,
After exams and,
and that would be based on the professional development level of the teachers and whether our IT department has the security in place.
And from the email I got from Ms. Reitman from Protected Harbor, they can do the work during the Christmas break when there's no students here, to be unimpeded basically.
All right, John, you had
Yeah, only that Fiona's point is a good one, except that by passing this policy, we would be allowing for that to happen, whereas now, our policy prevents it from happening, from our point of view, from a disciplinary point of view. 41 or 42% of our disciplinary referrals over the past school year were cell phones, by the way. So yeah, the cell phones are here, we know that. But if we allow this to happen, it's our fault. If we don't, it's someone else's fault.
But they're allowing that.
Andrew?
Mr. Trebo, of all the school districts in the state of Connecticut, do you know of any school district that has implemented this similar policy or a policy equivalent to it that has actually had any of the problems that you're concerned about? Do you know specifically?
I have had conversations with other IT directors from school districts, and they have had minor issues. Down in London, they had a few minor issues. In Bristol, they had a few minor issues. Waterbury, Danbury had minor issues. Those were ones that were quickly caught, and they did not propagate.
So no,
There's-
9/11 type of event?
No, we're not looking at a category 5 in those. But unfortunately, most things occur when nobody's looking for them. If 2 years ago you told me that if I went for my flu shot at Target, I was gonna have to have my credit card replaced, I would have told you no. But they had their HVAC system put on the network, which was 100% secure, totally separate, turns out wasn't entirely. And no matter what you do to the system, there's virtually nothing you can do to make a system 100% secure, but you can try to stay one step ahead of everybody else.
That's why you're here for 4 more years, I believe.
I'm trying.
Okay.
Jess?
My understanding, Dan, of what your primary concern was that students could hack each other, right?
They have the potential to hack each other. causing irreparable demand within the network itself by simply tying up resources. Each access point has limited bandwidth that it can handle.
So is
By turning around and becoming highly infected with a Windows-based system. Now, to say there is no such thing as malware for Android, no, there is. There is malware for iOS, there is. It's just much harder. You have to get something that's not in the Play Store and not in the Apple Store.
Like
Although
I did
Apple
with the-
recently got a breach there too.
Like I did with Mr. Lemoyne, Dan, I'm gonna ask you to speak in English.
Okay.
Well, let's just, she has enough point.
So no, I mean, the initial concern that I think I heard voiced was that one student with a Windows could hack another student with a Windows. It wasn't that a kid with a Windows could hack into our system and steal all of our data.
It has the potential.
That was the first thing I heard, though. It sounds like that was the most real concern, was one student damaging another student's property.
That was Mr. Lemoyne's area where he was concerned that, his opinion was that they could only wreak havoc on each other. They couldn't do havoc to our network because they'd be on their own network. The difference is with a Windows-based device, a Linux-based device, you have the ability on those class of products to put in an external wireless adapter. They're very small, they don't stand out. That turns that device into a router, basically. A device that allows other devices to connect to the internet through it. I'm sure they've already YouTubed this since the beginning.
You were taking notes.
Let's go on.
Your concern, and what you heard was the fact that I'm concerned that they have that ability with those devices. The moment I can turn something into a router, I can take your data. I can steal your information, I can steal your password. Could be another student, it could be a teacher. That's my concern. And that's something that's not possible currently with a set of tablets in the marketplace. They don't run dual wireless cards, they don't have external USBs without putting on specialized adapters, which are going to stand out like a sore thumb.
To a
Now,
teacher?
to anybody who sits there and sees something about the size of my phone sticking off the bottom, it's not going to be practical.
I guess the reason that I asked that and wanted to clarify that is because I do think one student being able to damage another student's device is concerning, but we take that risk when we let any device come into the school.
Like a car.
Because kids can always damage somebody else's device. So now, when you turn around, it's gone. I mean, that's just the reality of cell phones and iPads and all that stuff. So as far as like, a kid, I mean, you take that chance when you bring your device to the school that something happens. That's why we say in there that we're not, if your device gets stolen, we're not going to can't replace it or something to that effect. I mean, that's just part of.
Correct. The
It-
difference
it's-
here is you
yeah.
have the ability to affect every device that's on that particular network at that point in time.
Can I just say one thing, just one quick thing? Can we just trust our students and staff?
And that's what I wanted to come back to. The students want a policy. They came up with a policy. They don't want it taken away. So I think they're not gonna abuse it. There might be one that does, but that one that does and the policy gets revoked is not gonna be very happy when they're talked to by the other students. I think we need to trust them.
Real quick, just as far as the policy goes, from a day-to-day functional standpoint, I know we were talking about using it in the classroom, fine with that. Tyler had mentioned the cafeteria, that they should be able to have access to it then. What about, are we saying that they're gonna be able to use the phone at any point during the day, during the school day?
With staff
Well,
approval?
because this is my concern, and I know, and this is directed a little bit more towards the students, but it's obviously for everybody here. So this is what I see when the kids a few years older than you, they get done with college, they're coming, and I see these young engineers, right? They're walking around. They can't hold a basic conversation. And I'm not exaggerating. They cannot hold a basic conversation. They look uncomfortable, unsure of themselves. But if you stick them in front of their phone, they're fine. They can text away. They can write a dissertation if you want them to. So part of, and I'll be honest with you, up until very recently, I've been very against having the cell phones in at all and just getting as many devices into the school, controlled by the school for you guys. I was looking at it, you know, a little bit differently. How do you feel about that, as far as being able to actually hold conversations with people, look somebody in the eye, things of that nature, things that are gonna get you guys jobs? No, this is more for you.
Okay. Okay, so the first policy that we presented to the policy committee was just only in classrooms. And the concern came up, now I'll answer the second question, but the concern came up that if we allow it in classrooms, students are gonna use it in the hallways and lunch anyways, because they have them on them. So, to allow, if we allowed it in the hallways and lunch to not make it easy for the administration, but to, you gotta go one way or the other. You can't just, you can't go half.
I agree with that.
And then for the second question, it was about,
About your ability to talk to me, basically.
Okay.
Because at some point, somebody in this room may come to me looking for a job. You're sitting in an interview, if you don't look me in the eyes, I'm not hiring you. I don't care what your qualifications are. If you can't hold a conversation with me, then you're not gonna have the job. That's one of my things.
Yeah,
Probably one of the things for a lot of folks that are looking to hire somebody. You have to be engaging. You obviously are, you're sitting in front of me. But I'm assuming that, you know, you're a little above average when it comes to that, because you have the courage, obviously, to sit at the table in front of us.
actually, this is the first ever public speaking I've ever done.
You're doing okay, man. You're doing okay.
But I think,
When it comes to that, I mean, Tyler, I don't think Tyler knows, and I really don't know. It's just school, I don't know.
So this is a little unique concern maybe that you guys hadn't thought of.
and my dad is a superintendent for construction, and he interviews people, and he doesn't take anybody who looks in the eye also. And he also told me about that concern. But he also said that he understands that this is the world we're coming to, besides the fact that it is wrong for us not to be able to speak to everyone face to face. But we're talking about education, and education has changed. It is 21st century learning. It is that we are heading towards using all this technology, and as we've presented that, most schools in Connecticut have moved towards it, and we're not really we haven't gotten there yet.
So, is there any reason for us not to pass this policy with Mr. Tebow's reservations tonight, and the understanding that, upon further assurance that the security issues aren't as dire as they seem that they could be, that these other devices be included within our umbrella?
I think that was addressed. I mean, the policy can always be changed. We're looking to change it now. I mean, we can find out that there's no security risk 3 months from now, and that there's been no, and the board can again address changing the policy. You can always.
Adding.
Right, you can change, add an operating system, you can add a whatever. I mean, they're laws, they always change. All right, can Lindy jump in? She wants to hit me, so I have to let her jump in.
I think she's gonna answer what I'm gonna say.
Well, I just wanted to, I also have had that concern about whether or not kids are social. I find that very disturbing, and the kids who know me know that that's something that disturbs me, is your ability to socialize and hold a conversation. However, having toured a lot of schools where they do have the device and the students are in the cafeteria with devices, I have still found that the majority of kids, when you put them together with their friends, are talking to one another. There are some of them who prefer to chill. I want to listen to some music during my time, because that's what I want to do with my spare time. That's what I do. There are some that want to play games because they want to do something different than schoolwork for a while. But the vast majority of students that I see in cafeterias who have these devices are still having conversations. They're still speaking. And one of the things that I would certainly want and hope that we're doing is, especially in the classroom, as we're using the devices to do research, and using the devices to get information, that what our teachers are doing are taking an active role in helping students to have those kinds of adult conversations about the issues that they're researching. So that I'm looking to my teachers to teach our students how to have those conversations, how to socialize. And I'm hoping that that's one of the things that will happen, is that the richness of the conversation, because something that I can find on my phone, I mean, I know that for my own part, having grandchildren at home who have their devices, that the conversations and the things that come up because of the ability that they have to access information quickly. I have conversations with an 11-year-old that I'm just amazed about, because they're able to say, well, look what I found, and let's have a conversation. I don't think we're going to, and I've said this to students before, my concern sometimes is that if the phones become too ubiquitous, we're going to turn into ticks with phones. But that's not what's happening. The kids are, they're using their phones, and I've talked about some things that happen because of not allowing phones, that I had to take the phone, and actually I didn't take the phone, and Tyler was amazed that I didn't take the phone. But I found 2 students using the phone in the cafeteria, because one young lady was from Hungary, could not speak English, and her companions felt bad, and so they were using a Google Translator so that she could have someone to talk to during the lunchtime. So they are using them in mature ways. They are using them in socially appropriate ways. I do share your concern, but I think it's incumbent on us as adults to help our students understand that there's a balance. But if they're not allowed to have them, then how do we teach them to use them?
So just to kind of catapult off that a little bit, I would like to, assuming that this gets passed, I would like to put a little bit of a challenge to the 3 young men and young lady there that have put this information together. What I would like to see is you guys take control of teaching the incoming freshmen what the appropriate uses for these devices are. Because one of the other things, and probably you've talked to your dad, one of the other things that I've seen is when I first, and I work at Sikorsky, by the way. When I first started at Sikorsky, I was a floor supervisor, so I was on the manufacturing floor building the aircraft, and I would have employees that I would catch watching movies or playing games or whatever on the aircraft when they should be building the darn thing, right? So they're wasting money and there's a loss of productivity there. So in my position, you know, I'm the boss, the bad guy, whatever, however you want to put it. That was always a challenge, and it was not the old guys. It was always the younger employees. So I would feel more comfortable, even though I agree that we have to put some trust in you guys. I would like you to also help to push that even further, so that somebody coming in out of the middle school understands, oh, I can't play Minecraft all day on my phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, to answer your point also, I'm seeing it obviously, and every year, and more now than ever in my senior year, I've done presentations in front of my class, and teachers are doing it more than ever because of your reasoning. It is because of your worry about us not being able to speak in front of 10, 15 people, and it's mandatory. You have to do it in front of the class, and it's a project, and I've got one every year. And I think, and teachers are preparing, I think teachers are preparing us for the real world, but also need to prepare them for the real world with the devices also. So I think the teachers are doing the part with the talking in front of the class. Some kids it's hard, some kids it's not, but it's a learning point, it's a teachable moment. And you're graded on it, and some teachers, my child development last year, I had 4 presentations, and she evaluated what you did, each presentation, and then you had a final thing of how your presentation went and what was the difference between your first presentation and your last, and how you did. And I think teachers are doing that, and I can agree with you. Talking to my dad, it is ridiculous, but I think our teachers are getting us more than ever. So.
I think the reason that we don't defer this decision is because we have been talking about this for 6 years that I'm aware of, probably longer. This is our second group of students who have hundreds and hundreds of hours into this. I think the board needs to just make a decision at this point. I also think it's a privilege, not a right. If it's not working out, the policy gets revoked. I mean, I don't know how much more we beat this to death, because there's always going to be something, and I think this board just needs to decide.
I'm not talking about deferring the decision. I'm talking about approving 98% of these devices tonight, but reserving judgment on the 2% that may be problematic. That's all I'm talking
Thank you very much for putting up with us for this long. We'll be back on the topic in about 30 minutes. 2015-16 capital budget.